So it's that time where seed trays that have grown really quite well, it's time for them to hit the ground. I've got my beds prepared, and all I need to do now is get the plants into the ground. Now it is a little bit early, and all these covers will be covered with fleece just to give them a little bit more protection for the next month or so. First off, we're going to start with our peas, and I have multiple modules like this. So I'm going to dip my holes and get these planted in. I'll then cover it with a little bit of fleece just to protect them more from predators like pigeons and mice, because last year we did lose quite a large section to peas to mice taking them. So this year we've sown them in modules, let them get to a half decent size first, and fingers crossed we won't have as many issues keeping them covered. So first off, I'm going to make my little holes. Now I've got an old spade that broke, and we've made this into a dibber. And then we're just going to ease out the modules. So these are the peas. They're looking quite good, and these are ready for us to go in. Now I've planted them a little bit deeper than the tops of their necks, and I'll just lightly fill in this, but then I'll water. Water will backfill quite easily into the holes, and I'm just going to carry on with this row. So that's my peas in. Quite a few, but I don't know if you've had to shell peas for the amount of plant that you have. You do get a lot back, but there's also a lot to process for the peas as well. And last year I think we had 2 large bags of peas out the crops that we actually managed to get, which lasted us a few months. So I'm hoping this year we're going to get a few more to last us a bit longer. Now I'm going to actually have to fleece these up. Protection against any frosts and any predators, because the last thing I want is my peas to be decimated as they were last year. Now the good thing about interplant crops is you can really mix up your beds. In general, with no dig, you don't get any major issues unless it's something very big and thirsty that will take the nutrients out the soil much quicker to whatever's growing next to it. These beetroots are definitely ready to go in the ground, and these will be spread across the whole of the plot in general, but the ones I've got now, these are going into the 1 or 2 beds, and they'll be planted a little bit deeper and then fleeced over the top. So I'm going to get on with that now. Now with these particular beetroots, they are multi-sewn. So you can see here that there's multiple different plants in this little plug. Now when I sowed these, I sowed them between 4 and 6 seeds to each one. Now these are not going to get thinned out. These are going to go in as is. Last year we had a great crop of beetroot by multi-sowing, removing the biggest first, and this allows the others to kind of catch up with the growth, but it saves space, and you can get a lot more beetroots out of your crops than singular sowing. Also saves a massive amount of space. Now that's my beetroots in 2 beds. So in my experience, always over sow your seeds. You always need more than what you think you need. Last year we undersowed in certain areas. We didn't have enough to fill our beds to the maximum amount that we could have done. This year I'm hoping to rectify this. Now the next one up is pak choi. These are ready to go out. Now I will make another sowing of these a little bit later on in the year because the autumn sowings are really, really good. Last year I think we got lucky with our early sowings, but they were good too. But too warmer weather and they'll bolt. So I think I'm going to put these actually alongside the edges of our old compost bay, which we're turning into our kale and broccoli bay. They don't take up much room, but I want to try them in a slightly different area to last year, just as an experiment to see what the soil's like, because really that's classed as a new bed. And it's the same as half the beetroots that I've planted, the cylindrical. They're in a brand new bed that we created this year. So the growth of those will actually show me how good that particular compost is and if it needs anything added to it. Now this particular bed, it's not no dig per se, and it's not dug either. It was just literally some of the compost from last year that we've left actually on the ground in very small amounts. Pushed down maybe a couple of centimetres, and it's clay soil. So I think I'm going to put half of my pak choi in here and half of my pak choi in another bed, again to see the difference in growth. Looking quite healthy on the old root system. I think it is about time that these had gone out. So that's my peas, my pak choi and my beetroots into the ground. And that's a large job. So this is a couple of extra things that I can actually knock off my list now. I've just got to do my lettuces and a couple of other things that go into the ground. But I'm not gonna water these seedlings because the ground is very sodden. We're forecast heavy rains for the next few days, so I don't think it's going to need it. They will need fleecing though until any risks of heavy frost has passed. What have you got in the ground? Or what are you eager to go in the ground? Have you started plugs, or are you direct sowing into the ground? Let me know in the comments below. Again, if you want to keep up with any future videos and what I'm going to plant out next, why don't you like and subscribe? This really does help our channel grow, but it also keeps you informed of any future videos that may pique your interest.